Hey guys, this is my video review of a 2016 Golf R. This one's white, obviously, doesn't come in a lot of colors. So I've had this about 5 weeks now, about 1,000 miles, and so I'm prepared to give a solid review now because there's some things you don't notice until you've taken it out. I'm not going to talk too much about the driving dynamics of this car. If you're watching this, the odds are that you've seen other reviews. You kind of know this car by now. Yes, it drives great. Yes, it's a lot of fun. It handles well, it corners well. It makes you, it's almost scary at times because it makes you feel very, very confident. Almost too confident, I would imagine. You know, you find yourself taking corners that you've taken many, many times on your daily trip, just a little faster each time. It's just one of those cars that inspires a lot of confidence. So, some of the things to go over are, let's go over the mods. First off, I tinted the car. This is 3M crystalline. This is 40% around with 70% on the windshield. It's not as dark as it's gonna look in this, but it is great. I like it a lot. The look is sharp. I've also put on the Euro LED taillights. That's the way they come in Europe. Those are the tinted ones. I like it as well. They seem to be a little brighter. So that's a nice bonus. The rims are the 19s. Obviously there's not a whole lot of rubber. But yeah. So getting this car was a real fun experience. About 4 months of talking to every single dealership on the West Coast basically, and just hearing how they want to bend me over on price wise. I just don't pay markup. It's against my religion, and as I'm sure many of you experience if you're trying to get this car, they love to mark it up. They love. The most I saw was $12K. That's right, $12,000 markup, which I almost threw up because I could just go to the Audi dealership and buy an S3 if I wanted. Of course, I didn't want an S3 because I wanted the hatch. I like wagons, and it's kind of the closest thing to a normal wagon you can get that's fun. So I finally found a great dealership in Galpin here in LA. Met a great sales guy, Josh. It's good to meet a sales guy who actually knows what they're talking about as a car enthusiast, because I'm sure many of you experienced most of the time they're just idiots, and this is their last go around in life. It's good to meet someone who actually appreciates cars. He took care of me, really understood and worked with me the whole time. So I gotta give props where it's due. They could have been, they didn't have to be, but they treat me well. So some little aspects of the car. We'll go with inside. The seats are great. They're comfortable. They hold you in well. They're warm. The seat warmers work great. These bolsters right here, okay? They're pretty big. It's a decent size bolster. Getting in, you basically have to fall into the seats. Getting out, you have to pull yourself out, unless you want to just sit and crush this every single time. If you've got a bad back, not great knees, probably not the best car. Even though this seems like a fairly big car, normal car, getting in and out is not very straightforward. Another thing I want to mention is the turning radius on this car. Although I'm sure it's not bad, I'm sure it's probably average in its segment, it's not great. You would think for a car this size, and I've driven VWs like the Beetle, you can do circles in a parking lot, no problem. This is not that car. This will not, it just won't turn on a dime like that in a parking lot. I thought it was weird, and so a buddy of mine drove the car, and he was driving in a parking lot, and I didn't mention anything to him. He turns, he said, you know what? This car, I feel like it should turn another half notch on the steering wheel to make it sharper. And he's right, it feels like it should be turning more than it is. I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's just a little thing. It's, you know, for a little car, I was hoping I was going to be able to, because you look at a parking spot and be in it. It's not the case. It's good, but it's not great. And this car makes you think greatness. Driving dynamic wise, the car is great. I don't need to go over too much. Everything else is out there. It's a lot of fun. the main thing I would take away is it gives you such confidence. It makes the driver so confident. I think probably overconfidence. You will start taking turns little by little, faster and faster and faster. You know, those turns that you take on your way to work every day. You're just, oh, well, let me just try this a little bit more, a little bit more. That's what this car does to you. It wants you to push it a little further each time. And each time it'll surprise you. I mean, I've taken turns where, you know, in my previous car I would have killed 10 people. And this car didn't even blink. And on one hand I'm like, that's great. On the other hand, that's scary. So other things to point out. I talked about the seats. I talked about the turning radius. The back seats are nice. I think the seat quality themselves is nice. I was at the LA Auto Show. I got to experience their other VW leather seats, and this is definitely different. You definitely feel the difference. Now, back seat room, not great, but I'm 6'3", probably 190, and so that's what my driver position would be. That's how much room would I have. Does it work? Sure. Especially if you spread your knees out like so. You sit in a comfortable position back here. But, you know, road trip wise, you're not going to pile 5 guys and go to Vegas in it. I mean, I'm sure you could. I'm sure people will, but it's not going to be the most comfortable ride in the world. No sunroof, still a bummer to me. I know sports enthusiasts love that, but for me, that's a bummer. Let's see. The dash, obviously, all black. Starts showing up dust a lot. Probably be hard to tell in this, but it does show dust. I really don't, you know, it's not a big deal, but you hear that noise. That doesn't exude quality. It's just, and it's not. You feel it, it just doesn't feel as nice. I was in the Audi, the S3, definitely a nicer interior. Was it worth the premium over it? I don't think so, especially not when I wanted a hatch, but just another thing to look out for. The other thing that drives me nuts is this. Your USB port is in here. It's right there. Okay, so I want to plug my phone in, but I'd also like to keep this down. Not happening. I wish they would have designed some sort of cutout in here for the USB cord to come out like so. That would have been nice, or come through. They did not. Deal breaker? Hardly, but you know, a little bit of annoyance because I'd like to keep that closed. It keeps a nice clean look to the car. You know, but some things are just overlooked, I guess. Obviously, you know, the center guide does not open. Does move around though. It's not a huge deal to me, but some people, there are ways to open it. I did put on the paddle shifters. Why? Because you will find that in traffic, the dual clutch transmission does well. It doesn't know that 20 feet in front of you, cars have stopped again. It just doesn't know that. So it wants to shift through gears very, very quickly because it thinks you're going up to speed and that you're going to, you know, maintain your speed and go all the way up to wherever speed you're going. It doesn't know that you're in traffic, doesn't realize that. So it wants to shift through gears. I put it in manual mode and I try to keep it in, you know, the right gear and control it in traffic. Not a big deal. I kind of find it fun and different. Kind of takes some of the tediousness out of being in traffic. Some people might not like that. Just little things like that to consider. Other than that, that's basically it, guys. You really can't find too many things to knock about the car. Everyone who's gotten in it, everyone who I've shown, is thoroughly impressed. It shocks people, in fact, how nice it is, because, you know, VW doesn't have that same weight as maybe Audi does. It doesn't exude that kind of refinement. And this car has a significant amount of that. One of the things that shocked me, that made me determine buying this, was I put the deposit down. I'd never driven these cars. No dealership would let me drive them because I didn't want to throw miles on them. So I put the deposit down. I told them, okay, but I'm coming in. I want to test drive it before I make my mind up. I was worried this car was going to be too sporty. It was going to be too much. And that when I would hit a bump, I'd feel it in my teeth, because this is my daily driver, and I do not want to be banged around by bumps. This car went over a bump that it was a pothole, and I was worried, oh God, this is going to be painful. It went over it. You could feel the bump, but it didn't jar you. And that's what some of those European cars, these types of European cars, do well. And the chassis, everything absorbed the bump, where you felt it, but you weren't rocked around. You didn't feel it in your teeth. And that's impressive to me. And that's what sold me. Immediately I said, okay, I'm in. I'm game. Let's do this. And the rest was history. I've gotten 32 miles per gallon in this over a 60-mile stretch. I think I averaged around 60 miles per hour. I really babied it. I haven't gone below 22, and I've driven it fairly hard, but I'm not crazy. Just in this 13-mile stretch of, stop and go traffic, some of it, I got 26. I'm pretty happy with that. Is it the GTI? No, it's not. But it's still pretty good for everything else you get. I drove the GTI, so if you're comparing them, the GTI is probably 90% of this car. I like the GTI. I was very, very close to getting it. I just, I don't make car purchases very often. I really wanted something special, and that's what drove me. It wasn't that the GTI was bad, it was that I wanted more. I was just at the auto show, and there it was, the R, and all the people around it talking about it, and that's my car. VW guy talked to me. I wanted that experience, that it was a special, kind of different car. And I got that. So if there's any other questions, that's really all you can, fault about this car. I think the sound system's pretty good. It's not great. I've got a very, very expensive home theater setup. It doesn't match that by any means, but it's not bad. Everything else is pretty solid. Nothing that you can complain about. I know most of you want to get a chance to test drive this car because they're hardcore about stopping people from doing that, but it's a worthy car. It's a lot of fun, and it makes you a better driver than you actually are, trust me. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Tried to keep it sweet and find out all the little gritty details they don't tell you. But yeah, this is a Golf R, and I'm happy with my purchase, and I plan on keeping this guy for a long time. So, thanks again, guys. Hope you enjoyed the review.